Imagine standing in front of a man so massive that even the ground beneath him seems to feel the weight of his presence. A man whose every step sends vibrations through the wooden ring, whose very existence challenges our ideas of strength, discipline, and what a human body can achieve. This is the world of sumo wrestling, and today we're rediving into the life and abilities of the greatest sumo wrestler the world has ever seen. What is he truly capable of? Stick with me, because by the end, you'll discover feats that go far beyond what most people think is even possible for a human being. The first thing to understand is that sumo wrestling isn't just about size. Yes, the wrestlers are enormous, some weighing over 200 kilograms, but their success comes from a combination of weight, speed, reflexes, strategy, and strength. And when you meet the most dominant wrestler in history, you realize that he wasn't just a giant, he was a master of movement, precision, and control. He could read an opponent's body like an open book, anticipate attacks before they even happened, and counter with an elegance that looked almost effortless. Think about it. While many people imagine sumo wrestlers as slow and clumsy, the truth is the exact opposite. At the elite level, these athletes explode with the speed of a sprinter and the balance of a gymnast. The greatest sumo champion could launch into his opponent with the force of a car crash. And yet, if that didn't work, he could stop, pivot, and redirect all of his energy in a split second. That combination of mass and agility is what made him untouchable. Now let's put this into perspective. Imagine trying to push a refrigerator across your kitchen floor. Heavy, right? Now imagine that refrigerator pushing back, with the reflexes of a cat and the power of a heavyweight boxer. That's what it felt like to face this man in the ring. Opponents knew they were not just up against his size, they were facing years of discipline, training, and an iron will that refused to bend. Every bout became a battle not just of strength, but of survival. One of the most fascinating aspects of his career was how he used his weight strategically. Unlike amateurs who simply try to overpower, he knew how to position his body to turn his size into a weapon. He could lean his massive frame in just the right way to sap an opponent's energy, forcing them into a battle of endurance they couldn't win. And when the moment came, he would unleash a sudden burst of power, sending his rival flying out of the ring or crashing to the ground. It was like watching a chess master who also happened to be built like a fortress. But what made him legendary wasn't just what he did in the ring. It was the way he trained, the way he lived, and the aura he carried everywhere he went. Every day, he would rise before dawn, practicing rituals that had been followed by sumo wrestlers for centuries. Hours of stretching, pushing, squatting, and clashing with training partners. Each drill carved his body into the perfect instrument for combat. Each repetition honed his instincts until every reaction became automatic. His discipline was so relentless that even his rivals respected him not only as a champion, but as a symbol of what sumo wrestling was meant to be. Now let's talk about something that surprises most people: his flexibility. You wouldn't expect a man of his size to bend, twist, or squat with ease, but he could drop into a low stance and spring forward like a coiled spring. Flexibility in sumo is everything, because if your hips rise too high, you lose balance. The champion understood this better than anyone. His ability to stay low while driving forward gave him an advantage that even larger opponents couldn't match. He wasn't just big, he was built like a mountain that could suddenly come alive. Another key to his dominance was his mental toughness. Sumo isn't just about physical collisions, it's also psychological warfare. Before a match, wrestlers stare each other down, trying to break the other's spirit before the first touch. And when he locked eyes with his opponent, there was no question who had already won. His calm expression hid a storm of confidence, and his opponents often felt defeated before the referee even gave the signal. That's the power of presence, something only the greatest athletes in history possess. But let's step back for a second. Why does sumo matter? Why should anyone outside Japan care about what this wrestler could do? The answer is simple. Because his story is about pushing the limits of human potential. Just as Olympic sprinters redefine speed, or strongmen redefine raw strength, the greatest sumo wrestler redefined what it means to control sheer mass and momentum. Watching him was like watching physics come alive. Gravity, inertia, leverage. He mastered them all. One of his most incredible abilities was his balance. Imagine trying to shove a boulder sitting perfectly on flat ground. No matter how hard you push, it doesn't budge because it's perfectly stable. That's what he was like in the ring. Even when smaller, faster opponents tried to pull tricks, he remained rooted like a tree with roots running deep into the earth. He could absorb impact after impact and still remain unshaken. Only when he decided to move would the match turn, and when it did, it was like an unstoppable force crashing through everything in its path. There are stories from his matches that sound almost unbelievable. Opponents twice as strong as normal men tried to charge him, only to be deflected with a flick of his arm. Others thought they could outmaneuver him, but found themselves trapped by his speed. He could even win matches in less than 5 seconds, driving rivals out of the ring before they even had time to react. It was a level of dominance so complete that the audience often gasped, not just at his victories, but at how effortless he made them look. But here's the most interesting part. Outside the ring, he was gentle, soft-spoken, and respectful. That contrast made him even more fascinating. Inside the arena, he was a storm. But outside, he embodied the spirit of sumo tradition, humility, respect, and honor. He never bragged, never mocked his opponents, and always carried himself like a true champion. This duality, ferocious competitor and humble man, made the world respect him even more. Think about how rare that is in sports. Most athletes who dominate their field often carry arrogance with them. But this man didn't need arrogance. His record, his victories, his sheer presence spoke louder than words. Fans loved him not just for what he achieved, but for how he achieved it. And that's why his legacy lives on, inspiring new generations of wrestlers and athletes around the world. Now, let's ask the question, what was he really capable of? Could he have succeeded in other sports? Could his abilities translate outside sumo? The answer is yes, and many experts believe he could have been competitive in disciplines like wrestling, judo, or even American football. His blend of size, strength, and agility was so unique that he could have stood out in almost any physical contest. But he chose sumo, and by doing so, he elevated the sport itself to new heights. By the end of his career, he wasn't just a champion, he was an icon. He showed the world that sumo isn't a joke, isn't just two big men bumping into each other. It's a science, an art, and a test of human will. And when people watched him, they saw something unforgettable. A human being who looked immovable, unstoppable, and untouchable. He became proof that greatness isn't just about talent. It's about discipline, dedication, and the refusal to settle for anything less than excellence. So the next time someone asks you what the greatest sumo wrestler in the world was capable of, the answer is simple. He could move like lightning, strike with the force of a truck, balance like a master gymnast, outthink his rivals like a chess grandmaster, and carry himself with the grace of a true champion. He could dominate an entire sport, inspire millions, and leave behind a story that continues to echo long after the matches ended. And perhaps the most important thing he could do was remind us all that the limits we imagine for the human body are not as fixed as we think. That's the legacy of the greatest sumo wrestler who ever lived. And if you've made it this far, let me ask you, what do you think about this incredible mix of tradition, strength, and human possibility? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this story with someone who needs inspiration. And don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the lives of extraordinary people. Because the truth is, we've only scratched the surface of what humans are capable of when determination meets destiny.